Hello, friends. I'm so glad you could join me today. I am documenting my journey on becoming debt free again, so welcome to Second Chance Budgeting. I'll be exploring cash stuffing and unstuffing, finding ways to increase my income, and saving towards some big goals, all while digging myself out of debt once again. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you join me during my adventures. So today we are going to be doing my sinking funds update for May. And then before we get into that though, I do have to unstuff some of my categories so that I can go ahead and pay myself back for purchases that either went through my bank account or to pay myself back for credit cards that I pay off every month. So I'm going to set this off to the side and we're going to go ahead and unstuff. Let's see, I've got $40 in change set up here, so hopefully that will be enough for what I need to do. So let's see. So first off, I need to unstuff my food category. So I need to unstuff a total of 109. So let's see, 20, 40, 60, 81, 20. And then I need to give myself, 11 back in change. So let's see, I've got 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 91. And what I do with that extra money is I'm going to go ahead and put that towards debt. So I'm just going to put it off to the side right here. So I'll take that to the bank too and get it transferred over to my old bank account so I can pay off the loan, but I'm just going to keep that separate for right now. Let's see, for gas, I'm going to unstuff 33. I did pretty good on gas for May. So let's see, we'll give 40. And that means I'll give myself 7 back in change. All right, and then what I do with this money, so I've got 20, 40, 60, 65, 66, and 67. So anything I don't use for my gas money, I am putting towards car maintenance. So let me just add that. Perfect. All right, and then for other, I actually didn't use any of this money. I was pretty busy with my house move, and so I didn't really do any personal spending. So this $90 that I have here is just going to go into my other surplus. I'm trying to build this up to about 1,000, and then once I do that, like anything left over will just go to debt, or yeah, it'll go towards debt. Okay, so that's everything there. In my sinking funds, let's see, I do need to unstuff a couple of dollars for giving. I bought like a card. So let's see, $2 going back there. Okay, and then we can get into my personal binder. Let's see, for clothes, I'm gonna just unstuff 23. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and yeah, I'll just take a 20. Got 23. All right, and then let's get into my house binder. For internet, I need to unstuff 74, and I think that's going to take everything. And I might have to pull from another category if I don't have enough. So 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 75. Okay, and I need 74, so that's awesome. I actually do have enough. I can give myself $1 back in change. Perfect. I had to pay their setup fee, so it's not going to be that much per month, but I don't know what it's going to actually end up being later on down the road. So I'll have to adjust my budget as needed once I finally know what a typical monthly bill is going to look like. And then I need to unstuff 22 from maintenance. I had to buy, so I didn't have a drill, and I managed to buy like a really cheap drill off of Craigslist, but then I needed to buy the drill bits. So this money is for the drill bits, and I need unstuff 22. So give myself 8 back. 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. But at least I have a drill now, and I had all, just the normal tools, but I really needed a drill for something I was putting together. So it is what it is. All right. Let me make sure that that's everything that I need to unstuff. Yes. Okay. So I will take out my $40 that I keep in my change fund. And then I need to take I need to take at least 261, 262, 263, somewhere in there. So we'll take out my 40 and then we'll count and see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. All right, let's see where we're at. So 20, 40, 60, 81, 20, 40, 60, 82, 20, 40, 50, 60, 61, 62, and 63. All right, perfect. Well, we've got a little bit over what I need to go, but that's fine. It'll just go into the bank and be a cushion there. Let me put that in my back to bank fund. Let's see. Well, actually, while I'm here, I'll just put this money in extra debt. And then this 263 in my back to bank. All right, perfect. Well, I am going to go ahead and change this up a little bit so I can do my sinking funds update. So I'm going to change this and we'll be back to my sinking funds. What I've done is I've taken my April balances on my sinking funds from my last update, and I've just recorded them here. Today we're going to have 2 sheets because I did start a new binder in May for my sinking funds related to my home. So there'll be 2 pages this time, but we're going to go ahead and count everything in my sinking funds. We're going to put it here. We're going to compare, see if it grew, see if it decreased. The other thing that I want to just kind of set expectations as we go into this sinking funds update is that I expect that my sinking funds are going to drastically drop. The reason for that is my home purchase and purchases relating to that. So we are going to see a decrease. So I just want to just kind of preface that. But again, that's what sinking funds are there for. And all right, well, let's just get into it. Right off the bat, I know that nothing has changed in my food surplus account. Got that at 600. That's 3 months worth of food for me. So that is no change there. Okay, so for car maintenance, let me just open this up and set it off to the side. For car maintenance, I started with 440 at the beginning of the month, and now I've got 100, 200, 300, 400, 20, 40, 60, 85, 505, 6, and 7. So 507. I've got my calculator off to the side, so hopefully we can try to do this with no mistakes this time. All right, so I've got, that grew by 67. In my other surplus category, I'm trying to grow that one up to $1,000, and then anything over that will just go towards debt or whatever goals I'm working on at the moment. But So I started with $4.97. Now I've got 100, 200, 300, 400, 20, 40, 60, 85, 20, 40, 60, 70, 80, 85, 86, and 87. So 587. And that grew by, let's see, 90. Perfect. I know that my giving fund, I know that that decreased as well, just because I gave some money to some of the graduates. I had a lot of graduations this year of relatives. So 20, 40, 60, 81, 20, 40, 50, 65. So 165. And that is a difference of 82. Perfect. Let's get into my savings and debt binder now. All right, first one is medical. So I started off May with 541, and I've got 500, 20, 40, 60, 70, 71. So that grew by 30. Perfect. All right, emergency savings I know is still at 1,000. I haven't touched it. So that has no change there. Savings I started with 1,780, and now I've got 1,500 in the bank, 600, 20, 40, 60, 87, 20, 40, 60, 88, 20, 40, 60, 80, 1,900. And I believe that's 120, but I'm going to just double check. Yes, 120. Perfect. Month ahead, I believe it's just the $500. Yes. And I did go ahead and switch out that cash and put a placeholder in here. So 500 and no change. And then my car insurance, I drained it in April. And so I started May with nothing, and now I have 60 in there. All right, perfect. Well, let's get into my personal binder. All right, for clothes, I started the month with $389. And now I have 100, 200, 300, 20, 40, 60, 70, 75, 80, and 81. So 381. And that is a decrease of $8. For fun, I started with 331. Now I've got 100, 200, 300, 10, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 46. So that increased by 15. All right, and then travel, I started with 537. And now I've got 500, 20, 40, 50, 51, and 52. And let's see, 52 minus 537 is an increase of 15. Car registration, I am no longer stuffing that one because I know that I have enough money to take care of next year's registration. I still haven't made a decision if I'm just going to go put that in the bank to earn a little interest, since I know I just basically won't touch it for an entire year. It turns out that in my new city, it just costs a little bit less to register. So I was saving enough money as if it was in my old city. And so it was a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed that. All right, so for holidays, I started with 107 and I've got 20, 40, 60, 81, 20, 30, 35, 36, and 37. So that grew by 30. And then hobbies, I'm not really sure if I stuffed. I honestly don't remember, so let's just check that. So 20, 40, 50. Okay, I must have stuffed it. So that grew by 20. All right, now let's get into my house savings binder. All right, my down payment fund is completely drained. So that means it's a decrease of $4,085. Same with closing costs, completely drained. So that means it went down by $830. All right, and then moving, I know that I used most of it. So I've got 20, 40, 60, 80, 85, 86, and 87 left in there. So that means that it went down by 172. Perfect. Furniture, I started the month with 500, and I did put some money in this one just because I know I am going to need to spend a little bit more than I was anticipating, but I definitely don't want to go into debt to buy furniture. So that's why I beat that one up a little bit. So I've got 500, 600, 700, 800. So that grew by 300. All right. Now we're on to my savings challenge binder. And I am not 100% sure. I had to change the order of how I normally put out my videos. So depending on what happens, you may or may not be seeing my savings challenges before you see this one. But when the balances decrease, that means that I have finished and accomplished a goal and I'm moving on to the next one. So that's why it decreases sometimes. But for my first goal, I started with 716. Now I've got 500 in the bank, 600, 20, 40, 60, 80, 7, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, and 71. So 771. And that increased by 55. Perfect. My second goal, I started with 54. And now I've got 5, 6, and 7. So again, I'm working on the next goal and I have accomplished one. So that went down by 47. My third goal, I started off with 767. And now I have 500, 600, 700, 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 800, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So 815. And that increased by 48. Perfect. All right, my fourth goal, I started with 72 and now I have 21. So that decreased by 51. All right, and then my fifth goal, I started with 94. Now I've got 20, 40, 60, 61, 62, and 63. And that one decreased by 31. All right, my last goal in my savings challenge binder, I started with 42. Now I've got 20, 40, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 81, 82, 83, and 84. So that increased by 42. All right, let's get into my last binder, which is the new one. That is my sinking funds for my home. All right, second page. So started off with 0 on all of these sinking funds. So we're just going to count. And in the internet, I have $1. And then maintenance, I've got 100, 20, 40, 45, 46, 47, and 48. Okay, home supplies. I've got 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 200. Okay. Home decor. Oops. I've got 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 200. And the last one is my garden fund. So I've got 20, 40, 60, 81, 20, 40, 60, and 80. So 180. All right. Well, counted everything in the sinking fund. So now I'm just going to tally up how much I have in total. And then as a double check, I'm going to add up the column of change and make sure that it equals the difference between April and May. So what I'm going to do is I will add up all of May's columns here. And as always, I'm going to speed you up, okay? Here we go. All right, so I've got 10,958. Okay, so I'm going to subtract out my beginning of the May balances. So if I did everything correctly, if I add all these up, that should equal minus 3,685. So again, I'm going to speed you up. All right, I think we did it this time. So that is correct. So it did decrease by 3,685, but again, that is completely understandable based on my home purchase and purchases relating to that. So I'm actually kind of surprised that it didn't decrease a lot more than that. I was not expecting to still be over that $10,000 mark, but I'm so happy that I am. And so that is everything that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. If so, please do all the things, like, leave me a comment or question down below. Tell me how you did in May. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.